when it comes to gut health awareness conversations, तो हर एक इंडियन फैमिली में कोई ना कोई यही बोलता है ये तुम्हारे दिमाग में है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता है.
So it's very important to understand the concept of gut health. आप Google करेंगे तो इतना information है, you don't even know what is authentic information today.
What is gut health?
Now what was supposed to get removed from your stool will now enter your bloodstream and create a havoc in your body. And that is the problem of gut health.
Tell me, what are the signs of a poor gut health?
Do you know your entire personality, your mood, your anxiety, your depression is all controlled by the gut?
There are certain foods which you have for your soul. So if someone still wants to include chai and coffee in their diet, how they can do so without having too much adverse effect on the gut?
Back in the days, we used to have 50 ml chai, chota sa.
Tell us, what is bloating? Why does this happen?
Another thing which causes bloating is excessive protein intake. We are obsessed with protein diet.
Are there any anti-bloating remedies which we can do?
So you take 2 to 3 tablespoons of barley in 2 to 3 cups.
We have to talk about our kids' health.
Children don't have the money to purchase packaged processed food. You have the money to purchase it.
Why more and more people in India are getting lactose intolerant suddenly?
So one needs to differentiate what they have. Are you lactose intolerant or do you have allergy towards milk?
Is gluten an actual villain for the gut?
So gluten is firstly not only in wheat but also.
Is it okay to use these laxatives?
Triphala is an old school remedy. I think there is nothing wrong in consuming Triphala. But by the end of it, you should try to pass motion naturally.
It is said that most of the health issues start with a poor gut.
Do you know that 80% of your immunity is in your gut? Your gut is your second brain. The gut and brain connection is real.
So we are talking about gut health today. In the beginning, I was mentioning gut health is a topic जिसके बारे में हर एक इंडियन फैमिली बात करती है. एसिडिटी हो गया, आज स्टमक क्लियर नहीं हुआ, वियर्ड बर्प्स. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू गट हेल्थ अवेयरनेस कॉन्वर्जेशंस, जैसे कि फूड इंटॉलरेंसेस, ग्लूटेन, लैक्टोस, ब्लोटिंग, तो हर एक इंडियन फैमिली में कोई ना कोई यही बोलता है ये तुम्हारे दिमाग में है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता है. सो टेल मी, what is gut health?
So it's very important to understand the concept of gut health. आप Google करेंगे तो इतना information है, you don't even know what is authentic information today. So simply let's understand first the basic concept of gut health. Gut health basically means your small and large intestine together makes up your gastrointestinal tract, your GI tract. Now gut health basically refers to the proper functioning and balance of your gastrointestinal tract. Now how does that happen? It is very important to know that our gut consist of trillions of different bacteria, both good and bad. Now, the problem only arises when your good bacteria is there, but your bad bacteria exceeds your good bacteria. Then it starts eating inside your mucosal lining. I'll give you a simple example, chai ka. आप जब छन्नी यूज करते हैं, you strain your tea, you have adrak, elaichi. You don't want that to go inside your tea, right? It will taste horrible, come between. The same thing is with your mucosal lining. When your gut health has more bad bacteria, the holes in your mucosal lining starts to expand. And then with these expanded holes, the viruses, the bacteria, the parasites and germs start to enter your bloodstream. Now, what was supposed to get removed from your stool will now enter your bloodstream and create a havoc in your body. And that is the problem of gut health.
Oh my God, this is pretty intense. Tell me, what are the signs of a poor gut health? Obvious signs भी बताओ and not so obvious signs भी बताओ.
So the obvious signs is, now just because you have one-time acidity and bloating doesn't mean you have a gut health problem. But if you have perpetual or chronic acidity, bloating, cramps, diarrhea, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome are some of the most common signs. Do you know that 80% of your immunity is in your gut? So if you get frequent cold, cough, that means your gut is at stake. So obviously you do fall sick due to conditions which are out of your control, like your environment and poor lifestyle choices. But 80% of the immunity is in the gut. So you struggle with, weight loss. Your hair and skin, especially dull skin, acne, hair loss, are all signs of poor gut. But what is the most important thing that people don't realize? Your gut is your second brain. The gut and brain connection is real. And do you know your entire personality, your mood, your anxiety, your depression is all controlled by the gut? Are you aware that 90% of the serotonin is made in your gut, which is your mood hormone? Then you have GABA, which calms you down. Then you have dopamine. All these neurotransmitters are connected with your gut. So if you have anxiety, you have depression, you're unhappy most of the times, the real thing is to check your gut first.
ओ माय गॉड, लाइक हम लोग कभी रिलेट भी नहीं कर पाए कि इफ यू आर फीलिंग अ सर्टेन वे शायद गट में इशू है. एंड आपने जैसे बताया यू शुड चेक योर गट. वेयर कैन पीपल गो टू फिगर आउट दैट दे हैव अ गट प्रॉब्लम? इतना अवेयरनेस कहाँ है?
So honestly speaking, the early signs are the first few signs that you need to see. Now there are various tests that you can do for gut health, but I think before going into that, I think going to your nutritionist or to your doctor to figure whether you actually have a gut issue. See, when we see a lot of social media, we see in media, we see in news, we assume we have these health issues. It may
Correct.
not be the root cause. So I think taking professional help before coming up to the conclusion you have a gut issue is very important.
So professional help means going to a nutritionist. I guess that should be the first thing someone
I
should
think
do.
it just totally depends upon your health issue. If it's the basic issues, yes, going to a nutritionist can help, or you would require to go the doctor which specializes in gut.
ओके,
Yeah.
गॉट इट. अच्छा, नाउ अभी गट के बारे में हम जब बोलते हैं, टू थिंग्स पॉप अप, चाय एंड कॉफी, एंड इट्स लाइफलाइन फॉर सो मेनी पीपल. टेल मी, इज चाय एंड कॉफी रियली बैड फॉर गट?
So let's go back in time. Back in the days, we used to have 50 ml chai, chota sa.
कटिंग.
आज के ज़माने में the tea cups have just increased or the coffee mugs have just increased.
I was just
We
going to
used to
say
have-
from cups, we have gone to mugs.
Yes, we used to have 100 ml, then it became 200 ml, now it's 250 to 300 ml. Sometimes the cup sizes are more bigger than our face as well, you know. So I think excessive of tea and coffee consumption does irritate the gut lining as well as the gut flora. And also people are sensitive gut do get affected by having excessive tea and coffee. And this also happens more to people who have it on empty stomach. Like सुबह उठकर पहले तो चाय कॉफी ही पीना है. Those people को very often I notice have acidity, stomach upset and heartburn. Also, let's not forget, we have all of a sudden started to add so much flavor, cream, hazelnut flavor hai, excessive milk, artificial sweeteners. We, first used to have sugar, now we have started to put artificial sweeteners which have various other health issues attached with the gut, especially erythritol. And all of this together has resulted into causing a change in the gut microbiome. Also, one more point, when we have excessive tea and coffee, what ends up happening is we face a lot of dehydration, which results into slow movement of digestion, again affecting your gut.
Got it. But coming back to an Indian household, there are certain foods which you have for your soul. And I feel Indians के लिए chai, coffee is like an emotion. So if someone still wants to include chai and coffee in their diet, how they can do so without having too much adverse effect on the gut?
So number one thing is, I think one should not have it on empty stomach. So let's start with a small change. I think you can start your day with some nuts and seeds and wait for 20-25 minutes and then have your tea or coffee. Now with your tea and coffee, the combinations are also sometimes wrong. Sabko biscuit chahiye chai ke sath, which is another layer of sugar or another layer of refined flour. Maybe avoiding that and shifting to having your tea with like a baked khakra, or a baked matri is a better option. Other thing is, I think one can reduce the size now. I think it's just way too much tea and coffee we're having. The excessive is a problem. So I think going back to your cutting chai or small size of tea or coffee, if you get those mugs also now, I don't even know if you get them anymore in the market, then that's a great idea. But even after that, you are having acidity or heartburn and stomach upset, I think switching to herbal teas is a great idea, such as your chamomile tea, peppermint tea. Is a better option, or having a ginger tea, just by boiling ginger and black tea. Usually, sometimes it's not the tea and coffee, also it's the milk that causes the acidity. So I think shifting to plant-based milk can also help.
Okay, we're going to come back to dairy because that's a conversation I really want to dig deep into. But ये चाय कॉफी की बात हो गई. We spoke about gut health. Another problem which seems to be getting common is bloating. पहले I guess सिर्फ women used to say that अरे bloating हो रहा है and all of that, but now I feel every second person is experiencing bloating. tell us, what is bloating? Why does this happen?
So, when you wake up in the morning and you see your face puffy and your stomach is out, which settles by afternoon and then restarts in the evening again, the bloating and the puffiness, that is what is called bloating. Most people confuse bloating with a big stomach. Basically with fat. Fat is accumulation of fat cells, whereas bloating is collection of fluid or gases. Now you need to understand 70% of our body is water. So when we have food or do wrong things, we can land up getting bloated. Now there are various trigger points for bloating. For each one, it's different. One is people who do not move enough. So lack of circulation. And you see that usually in old people. Aap dekhte when they wake up in the morning, their hands and feet are swollen up, and little movement of 15 minutes, it again settles. So one is lack of movement can result into bloating. Another thing which causes bloating is excessive protein intake. We are obsessed with protein diet, and today's meal, if you see of someone's, it will be paneer, dahi, dal, and roti. And when you have a weaker gut, or the problem is you're not able to digest such different protein. So too much of protein. Then we are obsessed with detox diets. So we are having vegetable juices, raw salad, and now it's not that easy to digest either of them for most people. So if you slightly cook them or lightly do it, you can still digest it. It's the problem is raw. Then there's another problem with fermented food. We see social media, fermented food is excellent, let's add in our diet. Now, if you already suffer from acidity or perpetual constipation, by adding fermented food, you get bloated because they release certain gases in your colon, which can result into bloating. Then we obviously have other causes such as lack of sleep. Then we have women who go through their monthly cycle. Then we have started to, I feel at some level, abuse medication. All of us are taking painkillers, blood pressure tablets. And I'm not saying you don't need them. Sometimes you do need them. But I think a lot of people are self-medicating it. And if you're getting excessively bloated after that, I think referring to a doctor will be a great idea. And also, I genuinely feel women get bloated sometimes more is because we do not drink enough water due to lack of hygienic toilets. And whenever we don't drink enough water or dehydration, we hold on more to water in our body. And the most obvious one is excessive salt intake, sodium. Now you need to understand every gram of sodium matters because sodium retains water in our body. Now we do need sodium for functioning of various bodily functions. Excessive sodium in our diet, especially as a result of cheat meals that we believe in, where we are eating an entire pizza, and that entire pizza probably covers the salt intake of the entire day. So one has to reduce the salt intake, but do not go totally salt free. It's very important. So these are the few common causes which result into bloating.
I mean, the causes which you have mentioned, it's been an eye opener, क्योंकि generally मुझे लगता था कि एक heavy meal के बाद bloating होता है, या अगर नहीं सोए हैं, recovery नहीं हुआ है तो bloating होता है. But tell me, are there any anti-bloating remedies which we can do?
Of course, there are actually numerous anti-bloating remedies. So one of my favorite remedies is jeera ajwain sauf ka pani. You take a teaspoon of jeera, you take a teaspoon of sauf and a pinch of ajwain, boil it in water, reduce it to half and consume. Another good remedy is coriander. If you take coriander and if you're living abroad, it will be parsley. You boil it in water, a good 200 or 250 grams of it. And when it starts to lose its color and becomes slightly yellow, if you drink it, it can really help with bloating. Another good example is of barley water. So you take 2 to 3 tablespoons of barley in 2 to 3 cups, boil it and reduce it to half and sip on it. Obviously, if you're going to try these remedies, make sure you're close to a toilet initially to see how much you go. Then there are obviously certain things like, you need to move, as I already mentioned. So make sure you're moving, make those small movements after you eat. And I always tell my clients, post your meal, make sure to walk for 10 to 15 minutes. Could be a light stroll or do your house chores, that way your bloating will reduce. Then there is obviously food which is high in magnesium, potassium, as well as B6, which can really help to reduce bloating. One of my favorite examples, which have all three, is a banana.
Okay.
So consuming a banana once a day can also help to reduce your bloating.
That's amazing. And आपने ये सब जो पानी बोला पीने के लिए, what time of the day we need to have? Empty stomach before going to sleep, throughout the
So
day?
it all depends on person to person, you know, depending
Okay.
how close they are to a toilet or how their day looks like. Jeera Ajwain soft ka pani should happen 30 minutes post your meal. I prefer doing it post lunch rather than
Hmm.
post dinner.
Hmm.
It suits me better. And a 10 to 15 minute stroll in and around your house or your office is a great idea to reduce bloating.
Hmm.
When it comes to barley water or when it comes to the coriander water, I prefer to do it in the morning.
So I want to ask you two questions. First one, what are the tips one can follow before or while having a cheat meal so that the food is easier on the gut?
So my favorite tip to my clients is, you know, have ginger, okay?
Okay.
Or ginger tea, or just brew ginger in hot water and have it, or have a piece of ginger. By nature, ginger gives you stomach acids to break down food better, it reduces inflammation in the body.
Hmm.
And basically, throughout the day, you know, make sure you have food which are high in magnesium, vitamin B6, and potassium. So make sure to include fruits and vegetables. You know, you can make a cheat meal, don't make it a cheat day.
Got
That's the
it.
problem.
Hmm.
And post your meal if you can. Please walk for 10 to 15 minutes, just a light stroll. It will help to reduce bloating. Now, to be honest, all this advice works. Most people will not follow it. But if it's a one off cheat meal, just enjoy it and it's fine. You know, don't overthink it. Stress causes more bloating, so don't overthink.
Absolutely, yeah. Stress is also another reason
Yeah.
which causes bloating. You shared with us the corrective measures कि क्या करना चाहिए, like anti-bloating drinks, movement, magnesium rich food. But a lot of people, what they do after a cheat meal, the very next day, they go on an extreme detox. Either they'll just have fruits or they'll just be on a liquid diet. And the reason they say is it's actually good for gut because gut को rest मिलता है. I want your opinion on this. Extreme detox, is it good? Is it required? And what are the effects of that on gut?
So, firstly, our body can detox on its own. We have our liver, kidney, and various other organs. We have a natural process of doing detoxification. Now, if you're going to, most people assume detox means just to have fruits, salads, and vegetable juices. Now, most of these things, if you have a weaker gut, you will not be able to digest it and probably lead to further bloating. The better remedy is at least try to stop munching a lot. The problem is we don't give our digestion a break. I see people eating at 10 in the night, 11 in the night while watching Netflix, and they wake up at 8 in the morning and they start eating again. Now, I'm not saying you have to do intermittent fasting, which is an excellent way to repair your gut because you give your digestion a break. Do the bare minimum of 12 hours gap. Like if you eat at 8 p.m., please eat at least at 8 a.m. You don't need to continuously keep eating. The problem is we're just not giving our digestion a break. It's like a scar, you know. I tell my clients, imagine you have a wound and we keep scratching it. How will it ever heal?
Got it.
So give your gut a break sometimes, you know, but you don't need to detoxify by having fruits and vegetable juices and salads. All you need to eat simple घर का खाना, which will never bloat you.
Got it. Okay, तो ये अभी हम adults के point of view से बात कर रहे थे, but we both are moms and we have to talk about our kids' health. When it comes to kids' gut health, at least we are aware of the signs, we are aware of the discomfort. बच्चों को तो शायद realize भी नहीं हो that, you know, they're feeling a bit uncomfortable, etc. So tell us, are there any early signs of poor gut health in kids which parents should watch out for?
Constipation, diarrhea are one of the most common signs of poor gut health, followed by frequent infection in your children, especially cold, nausea, and stomach cramps.
Okay. And are there any do's or don'ts you would suggest that parents can follow right from the childhood for a good gut health of their child?
Parents are the biggest example for their children. So you need to understand that if you are going to eat wrong food, your child is 100% going to eat that food. You cannot eat in front of your child instant noodles and expect your child not to eat it. Secondly, your children don't have the money to purchase packaged processed food. You have the money to purchase it. So if you're going to fill your cupboard and your fridge with wrong food, your child, when it's hungry, will go towards the wrong food. So the best thing you can do for your child is avoid packaged processed food in your house. Make sure to have seasonal food in your house, seasonal vegetables, fruits. Try to make more homemade snacks for your children. I know it's an effort, but you lay the foundation for your child.
So lead by example.
Lead by example.
And it's something which I guess the entire family needs to do. You just can't expect the child that you
Of
don't
course
eat
not.
junk and then you are not setting an example.
Of course not.
Got it. Very well said. Okay, very important question क्योंकि अभी तक gut और food साथ साथ में चल रहे हैं. Is food the only cause of gut health issue?
No, of course not. Lack of sleep. We would totally underestimate good quality sleep. If you sleep well, your body detoxifies the best in the night. It rejuvenates the best. And when I say good sleep, it's not a time limit of 7 to 8 hours. It's good quality sleep. It could be 4 to 5 hours also. But as long as it's a good quality sleep. Next is also, as I said, if you are on excessive antibiotics, which you may require, but it does not only remove the bad bacteria, but also the good bacteria. It could be lack of movement. It could be simple thing like your stress. So there are various factors beyond just your dietary requirements.
Okay, I told you earlier I'm going to touch this topic of dairy. Coming to milk and milk products, वापस this is a very important and a staple part of the Indian household, especially when the child is growing up. That one glass of milk in the morning and one glass of milk in the evening is like one, a goal which every mother has. But why more and more people in India are getting lactose intolerant suddenly?
So lactose intolerance is a common digestive issue where we cannot digest something called lactase, which is a sugar found in milk and dairy products. Now, this usually happens because we do not have the enzyme lactase, which helps to break down the sugar into glucose and galactose. Okay, it's that simple. Now, when you do not have this enzyme, what happens is this enzyme is made in the small intestine, then it goes undigested into your large intestine and colon, and it creates a havoc in your body. Now, when this havoc happens, you basically get certain symptoms such as like diarrhea, bloating, excessive flatulence probably, nausea, and stomach cramps.
Okay.
Now, this has become more common in India is also, and we also confuse it with milk allergy. Now, milk allergy is totally different. Milk allergy is when your immune system is attacked, where, the conditions that you see are far different from lactose intolerance, which is basically, shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing, swelling of the tongue and throat. So one needs to differentiate what they have. Are you lactose intolerant or do you have allergy towards milk?
Got it.
Now in India, there are various studies which have shown, and it's very interesting, that people in the north can digest milk easier than the people in the south, and that's simply because they have genetically had it more. So they have the enzyme. We have lassi, paneer, everything. Whereas people in the south is used to a dal, chawal, rice diet, mainly. And so they find it harder to digest. Now there are other studies saying that because milk has a lot of hormones and antibiotics added to it, to meet the demand and supply. But honestly speaking, I think it's just the enzyme that's missing, that's difficult to digest, and we are more aware of it.
I guess that makes sense. Awareness ज़्यादा हो गया तो ध्यान ज़्यादा जा रहा है उस पे.
Yeah.
अच्छा, if someone finds out they are lactose intolerant, how can they manage their diet? What are the healthier swaps for this?
So firstly, one should first start with an elimination diet, which basically means remove milk and milk products for around 2 weeks to 4 weeks and reintroduce them slowly and see if it actually reacts with the body. And now there are obviously various things that you can use as alternative to milk. Number one is you can use your plant-based milk. You can obviously add them. Now, nutrient-wise, they may not be the same. Like,
can you give us examples of plant-based milk?
So, plant-based milk such as like almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk are good substitute to milk. But you need to understand from nutrient perspective, they're slightly different. Like milk is high in calcium, vitamin D, potassium, and protein, and these may vary in that. Now, there are certain foods you can add in your diet as well, such as sesame seeds, black and white, rajgira, ragia millets, which are high in calcium, kidney beans, your rajma is very high in calcium, green vegetables, drumstick leaves, these are a good substitute for calcium for milk.
So, I feel अगर आपको lactose intolerance hai, it's better than to go to a nutritionist because it's not only about swapping the dairy, but जैसे कि आपने बोला कि आपको nutrients भी replenish होने चाहिए जो actually milk diet से मिलते हैं.
You need to understand Indians are obsessed with milk, be it our grandparents, our parents, and it's a very inherited thinking that we have to have milk for strong bones, but not necessary.
ओके, तो एक बात है लैक्टोज इंटॉलरेंस की, बट many people are just eliminating dairy and dairy products because, like you said, there is a lot of adulteration which is currently happening in milk. यहाँ तक कि डॉक्टर्स भी बोलते हैं if your child is not having milk, it's okay, उसको फोर्स नहीं करो क्योंकि इतने कोई nutrients मिल नहीं रहे. Is milk really bad for a child's gut health?
So I'm going to give you my viewpoint and the dietary guidelines, both. Okay. Till your child is 1 year old, breast milk and formula milk is the best option. Post 1 to the age of 2 or 2.5, you can have 2 cups to 2.5 cups of full fat cow's milk. Above the age of 2, 2 cups till however long you want to have it. But honestly speaking, if you ask me, I think above the age of 2, instead of consuming milk which is adulterated, I think if you can get ethically sourced milk, excellent. Otherwise, I think using dairy products is equally good. So you can have your curd, buttermilk, paneer, fresh cheese is a better alternative because the lactose is lower. And also if you have dahi and buttermilk, it's made out of fermented milk which with lactic acid bacteria, which is good for the gut flora as well. So I think shifting to milk products is far more better than consuming milk directly.
There is another thing which is being spoken about, gluten, wheat. बहुत लोग बोल रहे हैं कि चाहे आप इंटॉलरेंट हो कि नहीं हो, you should stop wheat, you should stop gluten. Is gluten an actual villain for the gut?
So gluten is firstly not only in wheat but also barley and rye. So these three things have gluten. Now you need to understand, unless you have gluten intolerance, celiac disease, you do not need to avoid wheat, barley or rye. You can consume it. On saying that, gluten is hard to digest. It's a kind of protein which takes longer to digest. So if you have a sensitive gut, yes, it can result to similar issues to lactose intolerance, where you can result into bloating, diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea. So if you do get those symptoms, then yes, you need to avoid it. Also, you need to understand, again, we are consuming excessive gluten.
Got it.
Okay, first we used to only have in form of rotis, and that was it. And then we had other millets also. Today we are having in form of bread and other baked products. Now gluten increases the elasticity and the structure of the bread, so people are adding more gluten in their wheat so that the bread and your baked products taste better. So then the problem has started to come because it is difficult to digest, and along with that there are other additives and preservatives added. So gluten may not be easier to digest, but with it, the other ingredients that are added are also probably more harder to digest.
Got it. And what are healthier swaps to wheat, gluten?
So I think India is blessed with so many regional millets, I think, and even our government today is promoting that. So I think to name a few, the common ones which are more universally available is like jawar, bajra, rajgira, ragi, a few of the common millets which you can include daily in your diet. If you find it difficult to digest them for any reason because of the fiber in it, then you can go for rice or rice rotis. Also, if you live not in India, then you also have quinoa, almond flour, etc., which you can substitute wheat. So it's not necessary to have your wheat rotis or food which has gluten in it. You can always substitute with better millets and grains.
Got it. तो बच्चों को भी फिर बचपन से wheat रोटी देनी चाहिए कि नहीं देनी चाहिए? You feel like it's better not to introduce the child to wheat?
No, I don't think so. As I said, only if you have gluten intolerance as well as celiac disease, then it should be avoided. Again, excessive is the problem, and primarily in packaged and processed food.
So it's okay to introduce your child to wheat?
Of course.
Okay.
You have to see the reaction. That's about it.
Okay, tell me which are certain foods which are absolutely bad for the gut health कि non-negotiable है, ये तो खाने ही नहीं चाहिए.
So my number one will always be sugar and processed food. So you need to understand the bad bacteria thrive on sugar. They grow, they love it. So if you're going to give sugar, you're just feeding a bad bacteria. So you often hear people ki we have strong sugar cravings. We can't help it. We have to eat, something sweet after our meal, or pure then we feel like only having, something sweet. Those are the people who have more bad bacteria because they're craving for sugar. So I think the number one thing is to reduce sugar intake. I think to completely eliminate is not possible, I think, in this human race today.
Mm.
So just follow the 80 to 20 rule, where 80% of your diet is clean and 20% you can give into your cravings.
When you say sugar, does it imply to the healthier sources of sugar also, like dates, jaggery, brown sugar?
So sugar in comparison to jaggery and brown sugar, I think they are just a substitute for them, because they will still spike your blood sugar levels. Nutritively, they may have a little bit more of iron or something or the other. But honestly speaking, besides that, there is no major difference between the two. The key is to reduce the consumption of it, not to substitute it. Now, when it comes to natural forms of sweet food like dates, raisins, or fruits, they can be added smartly in your diet. But again, overconsumption is a problem.
Got it. And ये बात हो गई foods which should be avoided for a good gut health. Can you suggest some foods which we should include in our diet that support our gut health or help to improve our gut health?
So let me divide this into prebiotic and probiotic.
Okay.
Okay. Prebiotic is food for the existing good gut bacteria. Now, to name a few easy ones, garlic, onion, apple, banana. Then we have flax seeds, cacao nibs, obviously, which most people will like it, 80% good quality dark chocolate. Apple cider vinegar and psyllium husk are few of the good examples of prebiotics which can be added in your diet. Now, these will come naturally also if you eat daily these foods. You don't have to separately add it. Then when it comes to probiotics, is which give you the good gut bacteria. My favorite is rice kanji. It's so easy to do it. All you need to do is take 2 tablespoons of leftover rice, cool it and put it in a mud pot or in your steel vessel and fill it with little water. By morning, it'll get fermented. All you need to do is drink that water, have a little bit of the rice, and you start your morning with a good gut flora. Then there are obviously various other things that we can add, is like our Indian food has so many of it. I'm not talking about the fancy ones, but the Indian ones. For example, you can do your buttermilk, homemade set curd. You can do your idli, dosa, dhokla, all of them are fermented food which are good for your gut. Then we also have Indian pickle if you make it at home with good quality oil and salt, and the right amount of salt, let me rephrase myself, is also a good choice of probiotic in our diet. Then obviously we have the fancier ones, the kombucha, the kefir, which can be added in our diet.
एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो आंसर्स हमारे इंडियन ट्रेडिशन और इंडियन डाइट में ही है. इट्स जस्ट दैट हमने उसको मॉडिफाई करके मोल्ड करके थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग कर दिया, राइट?
Of course, that's exactly what we have done. It's nothing else. The problem is just not to put the prebiotic and probiotic in your diet. It's also to improve your overall lifestyle for your gut to function well.
Got it. Go back to our roots, I feel.
Yeah, go back to our roots. And, we try to find shortcuts. Like, for an example, we'll eat an outside meal. We'll have, let's give an example again of a pizza or pasta. And then we'll go home in the morning and have rice kanji. It just doesn't change overnight. It's what you do throughout the week, matters also. So again, as I said, follow the 80 to 20 rule. It works the best.
I like that you mentioned that आपने pizza pasta खा लिया, सुबह rice kanji पी लिया, and you are expecting that magic is going to happen.
No, it doesn't work that way,
Fair enough. Okay. Poor gut health का एक symptom है constipation. And constipation is really uncomfortable and people look for immediate solution, which is laxative like Isabgol, Ayurvedic powder, etc. Tell me, is it okay to use these laxatives?
So I think laxatives in form of tablets, I think, should only be done under prescription.
Okay.
I know Durcolex gets used very often by a lot of my clients as well, but that's not the solution in the long run. That can cause, diarrhea for some people. It can also cause an imbalance in your electrolytes. But a better option would be natural food. So prunes is an excellent way to reduce constipation. Then there is also introducing ghee in your diet first thing on empty stomach in the morning. It actually greases your colon and the bowel movement can be smoother. Now, just because you do not pass motion one day doesn't mean you're constipated. If, as per the constipation definition, 3 days of not passing motion is actually constipation. So I think we go for remedies more quicker, but let's face it, if you pass motion every day, you do feel good, you do feel lighter, your toxins are removed. But I think trying first naturally is far better. Triphala is an old school remedy. I think there is nothing wrong in consuming Triphala. But by the end of it, you should try to pass motion naturally by introducing right amount of fats and vegetables and fruits in your diet and not excessive. A great fruit is papaya, pineapple and kiwi as well. They give you enzymes to digest food as well as the required fiber. Even
Got it.
avocado is excellent.
Is
It has a lot of fiber in it, and also potassium, which is excellent to remove the excessive salt from your body.
Got it. So पहले घर पे natural remedies ढूंढो, and do these remedies affect immediately or एक दो दिन लगता है?
No, of course, like anything, it will take 1-2 days, and what you do throughout the day matters. Also, having excessive fiber constipates you sometimes, it blocks, the stool passage, So it is having a balanced diet along with these remedies is the solution in the long run. For initial comfort, yes, you can take sometimes Isabgol, you can
Got
take, laxative if need be. Again, I would prefer if it's under the supervision of your doctor or your nutritionist.
It is said that most of the health issues start with a poor gut. Is it true? Tell us how gut health can impact our overall health.
So, if you have a good gut, the following things can happen to you. Number one is absorption of nutrients. So, when you eat food, it gets digested well and absorbs well. You have energy, growth, and repair in your body. Then we already know that gut is our second brain. So, it controls our entire mood. So, we can be happy, we can be sad, we can have anxiety or depression. It's all controlled by your gut, as 90% of the serotonin is made in your gut. So, gut impacts your overall mood. So, a healthy gut is a happy you. Next is also gut prevents a lot of diseases to happen in our body. So if you have a good gut health, you're less prone to falling sick. You are less prone to getting autoimmune diseases like diabetes, psoriasis, and so on. And also, let's face it, a good gut gives you good skin, great hair, and overall weight management.
Wow. So we all really need to make gut health a priority.
Yes.
Obviously, we would love to improve our gut health, but currently हम ऐसे era में रह रहे हैं where we are living a very fast life. We have stressful situations almost on a daily basis, and food एक level तक adulterated है ही. So give us some tips which we can follow as an entire family, like the child, parents and grandparents. All of us can follow to start improving our gut health.
We should start with the 80 to 20% rule, which is 80% of the time we eat home cooked clean food and 20% we can eat the packaged processed food. Now, obviously, one of the easiest ways to incorporate this is by reading the ingredients in the product. So try to go for products which have bare minimum ingredients, and you do get them in the market. Secondly is try to have movement. The biggest problem is we don't move enough. And one of the biggest issues which I feel is the cause of maximum issues is too much social media and scrolling. I think if you can keep that aside, keep it on a certain time limit, let's do for 1 hour today or 2 hours, then I think in your 24 hours you'll have so much time to do better things.
Got it.
By keeping yourself busy. And this can start with you, because if you do it, your child will do it. So I think making small changes like these can help, and also having seasonal food. I think we do not consume seasonal food anymore. And consuming that can be a great way to improve your gut, as the nutrients are more intact if the food is seasonal.
All these tips are so simple and doable. I mean, I've loved our conversation, Neha. And let's move on from long conversations to quick, fun questions.
Okay.
We'll get to the next segment, which is called Quick 10 with Zara. I'm going to ask you 10 questions and you have to give the answer rapidly.
Okay.
First one, myth or fact? Drinking chai or coffee on an empty stomach can harm your gut.
Yes, it can disrupt your gut lining, can result into acidity, heartburn, as well as bloating.
Myth or fact? Probiotics are the only solution for a gut health issue.
No, that's not true at all. Good quality sleep, less stress, movement, and not abusing medications.
Bloating is always caused by overeating.
No, that's not true. It is also caused by excessive sodium in your diet, lack of movement by your body. It could also be during a monthly cycle. So there are various reasons why bloating happens.
Got it. kids need to drink milk every day to have strong bones.
No, that's not true at all. Kids need calcium and vitamin D for strong bones, which can be also found in other foods.
You should avoid raw vegetables if you have a sensitive stomach.
Yes, you should avoid raw vegetable if you have a sensitive stomach. Instead of that, you can lightly saute it or cook it, as it is difficult to digest if it's raw.
Okay, moving on. Drinking water during meals is bad for digestion.
Having small sips of water is not a problem. Having a full glass of water can disrupt the stomach acids.
Myth or fact? Homemade curd is better for gut health than store-bought yogurt.
So homemade curd, you can control the quality of milk, as well as there's less preservative and additives added to it.
Fermented foods like idli and dosa are good for gut health.
Yes, it is excellent for the gut, as it improves the gut flora, improves your digestion. However, if you have acidity, then you should avoid fermented.
Myth or fact? Lactose intolerance means you can't consume any dairy at all.
So milk will be the first option to definitely remove, but you can try with curd, buttermilk, cottage cheese and fresh cheese and see if it suits you.
Last one. Eating a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables can improve your gut health.
So your gut has more than trillions of different bacteria. The more diversified food you have, the better it is for your gut.
And Neha, that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you so much for not only explaining the importance of gut health, but also giving us simple and doable solutions to improve the same.
Thank you for having me. It was such a fun time with you.
Much appreciated. And that's it for this episode. Hope you'll enjoyed this conversation and found it as relatable and heartwarming as I did. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little bit of a parenting pep talk. I'll see you in the next episode with more real stories, real laughs, and real insights. Until then, take care and remember, you are doing great. Here is to surviving and thriving one day, one episode at a time.